All right, episode 4. We have
Five?
another 5. This is the 5th episode. Episode 5. I have a pretty good title now. It's just gonna be episode 5 colon episode 4.
Oh man.
I might not be able to do that, but we'll see. I'll see how confusing that'll be. That would be fun. I might have to cut all this stuff out too. We'll find out. Hey, we're gonna roll dice to see what monster in the monster manual we're gonna talk about, and then
Dungeons and Dragons.
yeah, and
Yep,
then we
I
both
guess.
have a flying monster was the theme, or
Flying creature.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
I really struggled with this one. I had a much harder time with flying creatures than I thought I would.
That's
But
unfortunate.
We'll get there.
I had a monster that I thought like that's a pretty good one, and then I sort of realized it was a Pokemon. We'll see how
That's
you feel
not too
about it.
bad. That's
Yeah.
not too bad. Is it
Everybody likes
you're sticking with that?
Oh, I stuck with it. I liked it.
Okay. I'm glad. I'm happy.
Yeah.
All right.
Roll the dice, Dylan. What are we getting?
All right. 353? No, 335 does not
It's
exist.
too high. Go again.
306, which is,
Ooh.
I think that's in the Yetis, but it might be a Yeti. Yeah, it's probably a Yeti.
Oh, it is a Yeti. Yeah.
I've not dealt with Yetis much.
He's got that like T pose going on.
Yeah. It's very like Skyrim Ice Troll, but like with much cooler facial features and a horn.
Yes.
And horns going on. Yeah. Nice.
There were a lot of these in the Storm King's Thunder campaign.
Do we just skip them?
They're just with the ice giants, though.
Oh.
You never went to the ice giant fortress.
Right. All right. So Yetis. This seems like pretty straightforward, pretty cool.
They
Stealth, perception, immunity to cold, which seems, fair, normal for a Yeti. It speaks Yeti.
Are you reading the Super Yeti or the regular Yeti?
Well, I think we should build up to the Super Yeti.
Okay,
'Cause they're related, right?
that's true.
Let's get through the lore though first. Yetis,
This Yeti is very palatable. He's not abominable like the other one.
right? Yeah, but just Yetis in general. What are they up to?
They don't like fire. They are sneaky in snow. They have a sort of okay claw attack, but it's only a CR3, so it's not a big deal. And chilling gaze seems pretty good. I didn't know that Yetis could hit you with their ice stare.
Yeah, I'm still not. I mean, it's pretty good damage, I think, for what? Because this is going to be CR3.
Paralyzes too.
It paralyzes. No, like that's really the meat of the creature. It's got this one. It's got the one thing. I think a lot of low level monsters tend to have that, where it's kind of they have a gimmick, right? They do a thing, and that's the thing is they. Other than that, it's just kind of an angry ape
Yeah.
thing. It's running around. It can smell you a little bit.
Sneaks up
Find
on
you.
your tent.
Yeah, yeah. You're in a snowy mountain, and there's Yetis around, right? How are they used in Storm King's Thunder?
They were like buddies of barbarians. Like they had made a terrible pact with the Yetis, and they were like slavers and thieves, and they would raid villages, but they just had a bunch of Yetis at home that hung out with them.
I mean, they're not like garbage stupid. They're 8, which is honestly not that uncommon for even like player characters.
Yeah.
Low charisma, which I guess makes sense. Kind of, you wouldn't expect them to be great with that sort of thing, but I don't know. It's pretty regular. I want to see on the next page some lore about them. Keen hunters, travel in packs. Oh yeah, so to avoid a Yeti, you don't want to get picked off. Makes sense. Really big into smelling stuff. It's kind of weird.
Well, they're like a big monkey person.
They got like a shark thing going on. They catch the scent of blood and close in.
Oh yeah. I mean, isn't the whole point of a Yeti that they eat humans?
I guess, yeah. Yeah, it's really like spooky, you're in the mountains story.
Mm-hmm.
Terrifying howlers.
Well, I'm pretty sure
That's cool.
the original origins of Yetis were that if you ate human flesh, you would turn into one.
That sounds plausible, like kind of a Wendigo type thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Brutal rampage. It's expected, I think. I think it's expected. So you want to go big?
with the
Abominable
abominable Yeti.
Yeah.
Well, as far as I can tell, looking at it, it's basically the
The
Yeti,
super Yeti.
but but in addition to his chilling gaze, he can hit you with just he has a dragon cone attack. Just rah!
It's just a full-on breath weapon.
Yeah, just 10d8.
1d8.
DC
Oh,
18. Man.
Wow. That is hardcore.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's pretty good.
I think that's kicking it up probably a few challenge ratings. Because what? The normal Yeti's challenge 3, this one's a 9. That's just a huge bump.
Yes.
That's way too much.
There's no mid-tier Yeti.
I think that you could get creative and make some mid-tier Yetis out of this. If you tone down that breath weapon by like half and make it like a DC 14.
I would go the other way. I would take
Really?
the regular Yeti and buff him up.
Oh, you don't want the breath weapon. I like the breath weapon. I think it's cool. I just think it's too powerful on the abominable.
I think it's a good way to surprise a party because you're like a big woolly monkey man storms out of the snow and you're like, it's an abominable snowman, we gotta beat him up, and then he's like, surprise, ice breath.
And chilling gaze and everybody's dead.
Oh yeah, like that would be a good shocker, but it doesn't make any sense to me. It's kind of like the winter wolf is an enemy in like the back of the monster manual, and it's this huge giant wolf, and it's got like all these good stats, and for some reason they gave it a similar cold breath, which doesn't make sense from a wolf.
Yeah, I do like the breath weapon. I think it's fun. I like it a lot. This is not my favorite kind of enemy. I like enemies that have kind of this like burst power to be a little bit more glass cannon build. Mm-hmm. Like 15 AC on a CR9 enemy is like you're gonna hit it. You're gonna hit it all the time, and it just ends up having a lot of health to balance that out. Which I'm not upset with it having like a decent health pool, but I feel like it's this huge thing. It's gonna be
I guess 137 is pretty beefy for a CR 9
enemy. Like a party of 4 that's at CR 9. I mean, you're gonna be taking a few rounds to kill it, even unless somebody really gets like some crazy hits off.
The other two things that I want to bring up is the Abominable Yeti deals way more damage with its claw attack.
Oh yeah.
And also,
well, and it gets 2 of them and the gaze at the same time.
Oh, so nice! If it hits you with the gaze and it paralyzes you, and the other Yeti's the same way, don't they get advantage on all their attacks because you're paralyzed? Yeah,
and if they're hunting in packs, it's pretty insane.
Yeah, so these things are actually pretty nasty.
Yeah, I think the CR3 one is like slightly more dangerous than expected, but I think the other one is it's in a weird spot. The Abominable Yeti is in a weird spot. I feel like if its damage output was slightly lower, it would be like a cool boss monster. But I think that the placement for it is that it's going to be fairly like unthreatening to a prepared party at like an equivalent level. Mm-hmm. But it has a chance to just kind of like cheese somebody to death.
I really like the fear of fire part. Because you hit it with a fire attack, and suddenly it does sort of lose that damage, and you sort of get that thing of like you're waving a torch at Frankenstein, and he's like,
it's that's one of those things that really helps like a party that is big on lore, where they're like, we know how to deal with Yetis, crack out the torches.
I wonder, do you ever use like a torch as a melee weapon? Does it deal like 1d4 or something?
I don't know about 5th edition for that, but you can usually use a torch to do something.
Because that would be interesting if the players just put down their regular weapons and just try and torch this guy. For like no damage, but it just can't do anything because it's just like, it hates it.
It hates it so much. Yeah, well, I mean, I think let's see in the lore. Is there actually a way to run away with that? Or they don't even talk about that at all?
Probably not. It basically just says like one way you could use Yetis is by having warlords sort of bait them into their enemy's territory so they go nuts.
Yeah.
And then there's some spooky lore about Yetis howls. They
that I like.
The souls of the dead.
I like that a lot because that really sets you up for a good like world building moment. If they
Mhm.
if like your party goes in the mountains and they hear this crazy howl and an avalanche happens,
Mm.
even if it is farther away, like they really feel like they're going into like a spooky, snowy mountain area. That I like a lot.
Yeah, I do. One thing I do like about this range of Yetis is that for a third, fourth, or second level party, you could just have a regular Yeti sort of be like the monster of the week.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then from anywhere up to probably like level 15, you can just do a combination of multiple Yetis to make
oh
it
yeah.
like now it's a pack, or around level 9, there's the one abominable Yeti.
That's what I like with the mix of them is I feel like there's a great setup for like the Yeti King or like the Yeti matriarch to be in a mountain,
Hmm.
and you're like you've been fighting Yetis up this mountain, but they haven't been like super intense, and then you like open up into like their court of like this crazy weird ice kingdom, or
Hmm.
like it's in a cave and they're trying to find the MacGuffin or whatever, and it just turns out they have to just defeat like this huge Yeti.
It's big, extra nasty. Oh yeah, because the Yetis are large, but the abominable is
Is
huge,
huge.
so they'll know.
It's just like it's a great time to just kick out like the biggest mini you have and just like slam it in the middle of the table. Good time. I break out the were shark for that
That would
one.
be a good one to break it out for. Do you think
'Cause
we've covered Yetis? Do you want to roll
I think
another
we
one?
do. Yeah, I think we could go again.
I really like getting the small monsters that we can do too. Two of them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, early on we're getting the like big lists of people. So let's see. All right, 213. That's a Manticore. We could do that.
We can do a Manticore.
Definitely do a Manticore.
So first of all, that's a hideous creature.
It's I haven't got there yet. What do we got? Medusa's. Oh, I've always assumed Manticores had like a full scorpion tail, right? Is that's the more like
That's like Magic the
stereotypical?
Gathering lore.
Oh, okay. I thought that was like a Greek myth thing or whatever.
I
But
think it's cooler if you just give it a straight up scorpion tail.
it is weird because it's got like a person's face and like shark teeth.
Yeah.
They're kind of like humanish hands, but it's also lion paws.
Yeah, so for the listener who doesn't have the book, this is basically you take a lion slash tiger, you give it a. I'm trying to think of who this looks like. It's like a large red-headed man's face, and then
Yeah.
you give him a big old shark grin, and he's
Like
just
fully
covered in
layers.
spikes.
Yeah, layers of teeth, dragon wings,
Yeah,
weird spiky like plant like tail.
yeah.
I don't know. It's pretty crazy.
It's like it's
No.
like a pineapple tail.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very like pineapple asparagus.
Yes, asparagus is great.
All right, monster in every sense of the word. Yeah, vaguely humanoid head, body of a lion, wings of a dragon.
Dumber than Yetis.
Dumber than that surprises me.
Mm-hmm.
That surprises me a lot. Evil predators, so okay, fierce killers, hunting down. Yeah, we're getting a lot of that. Work together to take down particularly dangerous creatures. That reminds me of what was it? The demons?
The Bargura.
Manticore. Yeah. Manticore.
That said, I
begins.
could see a bar. Well, we're not talking about that.
Tail spikes. Oh, so this is a setup for it to be able to have a ranged attack.
Yes.
That's why they changed the tail around.
Scorpion tail is still cooler though.
So it flies tactically, but it's not that smart.
No.
So it's just but it can speak in common. The Yetis
Yes.
could only speak Yeti.
Different strokes for different folks.
Interesting, because they're kind of imbuing it with tactics and strategy that I feel like an intelligence 7 creature might not possess.
The way I see it is, it has a wisdom of 12, so it's not too dumb. Probably
It's
what
kind
it
of
does is it
The
has
survival instinct.
it has like a low cunning.
Yeah.
And if it finds you and it thinks it can win, it'll probably just go in and start biting and clawing you. And if you prove yourself to be an equal or formidable opponent, it probably just flies up, stays out of your reach, and shoots spikes at you until
Yeah.
you're dead.
I think that's where they're going with it. That the wisdom is better, so that it can be like it can have some sort of advantage in combat as far as that. But intelligence wise, it's going to tend to serve another evil being, and it seems to be like very cruel
Yes.
to its own detriment. It seems like.
It also seems, you said it would serve another evil being.
Yeah.
It pretty much seems like from the lore that these things like to wheel and deal. They are
Yeah. Oh
like
yeah.
if you're an evil wizard and you find a Manticore, it shouldn't be too difficult to get him to hang out at your castle and eat prisoners.
Right, or torture them or whatever you need.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is this is an oddly specific amount of tail spikes.
Yes, that is
24 tail spikes.
Maybe that's because they figure a flying ranged enemy is too much, so they want to give it like a limit, or they're just having fun with it.
24 though. I mean, unless there's some, yeah, there might be some background lore for it. I mean, the quote thing that Manticores love the taste of human flesh. That's why on trips through the mountains I always travel with human guard. It's a dwarf copper merchant.
It's a pretty smart dwarf.
That's pretty good. I like that. But yeah, no, it does seem like this could be really annoying if you played it to it. I think its full tactical potential, which might be why the low intelligence is to try and remind DMs that no, that's just its opening salvo. Don't worry about it.
Still though, it's I guess it gets it can take 3 tail spike attacks at once.
Yeah.
So it's not like, I guess they put the 24 in there, so it basically gets 8 rounds of pot shots on you.
This seems, I mean, yeah, this does seem dangerous for, because like its max damage is enough to kill a lot of characters at that point.
Yeah. This is one of those monsters where if it gets in your face, I think 4 level 3 people could deal 68 damage pretty quickly.
Yeah, but especially 14 AC. 14
yeah.
AC is not bad.
But once it realizes, oh, I need to stay high, I mean, your archer and your wizard are going to take a long time to take this thing down.
Yeah.
And if it's focus firing your wizard, then it's going to be just the archer, and he's going to be like, guys, I can't do this on my own.
Yeah, when it says when outdoors and outnumbered, swings to stay aloft, attacking from a distance until its spikes are depleted. But its spikes are 1d8 plus 3 piercing, 100 to 200 foot range. I mean, like, yeah, I don't know. It seems like that's gonna be it's gonna be mostly annoying.
If it hits anything with half of those spikes, which I think is not unheard of, it's gonna be dealing like 84 damage to your party. if you can't deal with it.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's too many damages for me.
This strikes me as a very good wandering monster random encounter sort of thing that you put on a table as like you roll for random encounter and you hope you don't have to deal with the Manticore.
It's like kind of worst case.
Yeah.
Like I would almost want to warn parties about Manticores with like an NPC or like, you know, lore or like somebody's journal or, you know, a letter before they were going to encounter if they weren't readily aware of it.
One thing you could do if you wanted to make this a little nicer is you just replace the spikes with a scorpion tail and you take away its range option.
I think, there's that. There's completely retooling that attack, or you put it inside.
Where
right, like
it's dumb. You're right. It's like
the idea you were saying, where it's like some evil wizard. They're like investigating the evil wizard's tower, and they find the prison, and there's just a Manticore there, and it's pissed off because it can't really like fly as effectively, and so it still does all this stuff, but it's much easier to deal with because that really annoying advantage is helpfully removed from it.
That is an excellent point. Maybe its choice then is to just escape and then make your life hell when you try and leave.
Potentially, yeah. And he's just flying outside the gate.
Get out here.
I think, yeah, like I think that because it speaks common, you get a lot of chances to do some fun stuff with it, where it's, you know, messing with people, talking shit.
Like another cool thing about the Manticore is that its passive perception is only 11. So you could do a neat thing. Well, not even sneak up, where it's in the area, and maybe in order to avoid the fight, your party has to hide, and it's probably not too difficult to do it against the Manticore.
Well, it could be loudly torturing prisoners, or like, you know, monologuing to itself, right? Mm-hmm. Like about its evil plans or whatever. Like I feel like there's good opportunities for like a Manticore to be kind of almost a comic relief villain.
Yeah. Like it's
because
just
it's so
roasting him.
yeah, and it's so weird and like strange and ugly and all these crazy features. Like I find stuff like this hard to take seriously
I
because
can
it's
see
like
that.
right, like it's sort of like that the what was the demon? It's really hard to pronounce demon.
The Nelfeshni.
Right. It's just weird and crazy.
Yeah.
Like I feel like this is one of those. It's because it's so weird. You can get interesting stuff out of it.
You just put him in a dungeon, and then he's just the grill master.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to me that like I feel like because I'm used to like a Manicore Scorpion Tail, that there's no poison damage on it, which I think does help with toning it down a little bit because poison tends to be pretty scary for parties.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think there's fun options with it, especially giving it external relationships instead of just hunts in packs or hunts alone or whatever. It gives you more options. Territorial rivals too. Like you could have them working with like if the party's flying in on griffins, now the Manicore's mad. Like it's going to seek them out and fight them specifically for something like that. Maybe there's a wyvern in the area. Different stuff. Different stuff.
Yeah.
hates them so much.
It's like they're cooler than I am, and I hate them for it.
It says Manticores fear dragons and avoid them.
Well, I would imagine. I mean, a Manticore isn't. It could beat like a whelp, and that's about
Right,
it.
right. But again, that gives you a lore option of like the parties maybe early on, and you want to set up a dragon. The party's like fighting a Manicore, and it's a hard fight for them. Dragon flies overhead, and the Manicore's just like, I can't handle it. Mind the party what's really going on.
I wouldn't mind seeing a rivalry between a Manticore and a Chimera, because I assume those are roughly near the same power level, and I think Chimeras are kind of cooler.
Are they in here? Yeah, they are. 39. Let's just see for a second.
Well, they're way tougher than the Manticore.
They look cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah, CR6.
Yeah.
Three heads.
Chimeras,
claws, fire breath. Oh, breath weapon.
Oh yeah, but it's like baby's first breath weapon. I love it.
It's not bad, yeah.
These
it's still like if a Chimera and a Manicore was in a fight, right? Like no chance there. That's interesting. Yeah, I think they're interesting.
Yeah, the Manticores are solid.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about monsters that we brought?
Monsters that we brought. Yeah.
So I went first last time, so why don't you go first this time?
All right. Like I was saying, I struggled a lot with this, and a lot of my ideas ended up being they're almost more interesting as like a dungeon rather than like a creature. Because I was thinking because I played Subnautica a while back, and like one of the things that really stuck with me from that is there's these giant creatures that just kind of passively float around. Like they're kind of squid-like, but they have like full coral reefs on their back. They're called a reef back, so that's what it is, right? But I thought about like that idea for like the sky in like a really super high fantasy world where stuff is just crazy.
What kind of animal? Are we talking like a sky whale?
Like like a sky squid, but that has like rolling plains on its back, or like fertile farmland, and there's people who like will fly up and on them. Like that was like an idea I had, and then I had like a sky whale type idea, like a whale shark type thing.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Like if the world was like you were flying around in airships, and they could probably coexist, right? Is there's just like people farming on these crazy squid things. Airships are around, and like the party would get like their airship swallowed by like this whale shark type giant thing, and they have to like go adventure through it to escape. But like that doesn't work really well as like an individual creature. It's very much like a world build. So
yeah, it's like a dungeon or an encounter. It's more like a sky castle than it is.
Exactly. So I took it down about a million notches. Like one of these like kind of low level gimmick creatures that I think would be very interesting to do. So I'm calling it the branding imp, and it's essentially like a servant for any kind of evil wizard, sorcerer, witch, warlock, whatever you want. Where it's like this summoned companion that just goes out basically, picks somebody in the party, puts a brand on their face that's essentially like a hunter's mark, and it's like and that's it. Like it just it's
Who's hunting though?
right. So it would be the evil sorcerer, wizard, creature, whatever. Whoever's controlling the imp is gonna be like, go find this dude or whatever, and put this brand on his face, and we'll get him.
And what does the brand do? Does it just say? Is it like I know where they are?
Yeah, it would basically like help kind of scry. It would within a certain range probably. I'd give them like they can locate them, and also like with Hunter's Mark, it's just extra damage. Like the brand burns them when they take damage from a source that's aligned with the brand.
Yeah, I like that.
Like you could easily like catch and kill these things, but I think they're much more like a bad omen that somebody's after you than they are like a creature you would fight on their own. But also, what's cool with them is because I'm having it function like a hunter's mark, they could just be in a fight, right? So they could send this imp after the party, right? And instead of the imp just being like the baddie, there's like a group of orcs. Orc mercenaries are hired, and the imp is flying with them, brands your party, and then the orcs go to town on that guy, and they take extra damage because
that does sound pretty good. Like it's
right,
just
so
a small utility enemy that
yeah.
even though it's not very dangerous, the party says we have to kill that.
We got to kill that one, right? And I want it to be like it can only target within probably like 30 feet. It has like really minimal bite and claw attacks. It flies decently quickly, but it's really about that, the brand. And I think the idea that I wanted to have was basically the brand is tied to the imp itself. So if they can kill the imp before it gets away, the brand is useless.
Oh, okay.
But it's like it's tied to the imp. So if they can kill the imp, no problem. If they can't and it gets away, now you're stuck with this, and you look like a bit of a jerk walking around town with your face all marked up
with an evil dude symbol, probably.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it has to be like really clearly this like evil crest type thing. Like like a Death Eater mark. You're just like, oh man, they got me.
There's a skull in my head. I thought you were gonna go a different way, where these imps they're very expendable, and they literally have like a hot brand.
I think you could
get up in your face and sizzle you.
They have to just smoke you in the face with the brand. That's like permanently disfiguring the party, though.
Lesser restoration,
I guess. Yeah, that's true.
That's the problem. That's the solution to every problem in D&D.
I think actually, I mean, I kind of like that. I like that a lot. I think that's good for like a more I guess like a little bit lower fantasy setting where it's like there are imps, right? But it's like they have to literally brand you.
Yeah. Or it's still like a super magical process. You can still get
like
the brand.
The brand is magic, but like the imp is like literally in the fire, pumping the bellows, like, all right, we gotta go, and then it just like books it out of the place. Oh man, I hope it doesn't get too cold before I get there.
You're camping out at night, and you see an imp peeking over the hill, and you're like, guys, we gotta move. He's going to find the local blacksmith.
You don't even see the imp. You just see this like glowing ember on the horizon, just like
coming closer.
Yeah, like, oh no, he's gonna get us. I think that'd be really funny. I like that a lot.
But that guy's never getting away. He's gonna brand you, and then he's just gonna get smote.
Yeah, and then I think it'd be interesting to kind of come process for who gets branded. But I guess like if it's at the behest of some their master, right? It'd be difficult to be like, oh, be whoever like slighted them most recently or killed their last servant or whatever.
Or just who's the most practical.
Yeah. Who's the most charismatic?
Oh, just really
take them down a notch. Because then they're like, I need some help with my face. And they're like, wow, you're horribly disfigured. I don't want to talk to you. You could build it into the lore too, right? Like people in the area know about this. And if you get branded, it means terrible things for you. So they don't want you in their town.
Yeah, they're like, get out.
Yeah, the wizard's coming after you. He's going to come after us for even talking to you. You better leave. And it's hard to hide unless you're like disguising self or lesser restoration.
Because it's just this, would you put it on like the forehead or just the cheek or just wherever they can mash that thing?
If it's not the like ranged magical brand, I think it's got to be just whatever, like whatever they can get. But if it's magical, I think it's got to be just the forehead, just really like just blatant.
Yeah. Yeah, the one thing about the magical thing is I feel like an imp could just sort of sneak up on your tent and then say, gotcha, and then just fly away.
I almost, I think that, yeah, it could be used that way, but I think that kind of goes against it because the whole point of it is sending the message. You know? I'm sure, yeah.
Spot.
Yeah. He's calling you out specifically.
What if it's doing to send a message, what if the imp delivers like a cursed piece of parchment and when you open it up, you see the symbol and then you look up and you're like, what is this? And you look down and it's gone. It's on your forehead
It's on your face. I like that too. It's like a messenger pigeon that sucks.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
But no, I think there's tons of, you could do tons of variations sort of thing based on kind of whoever their master is and what suits them the most. You know, if they're really like tricky and rude, I feel like, deliver a letter. The little imp's like, hello, sir, I have a message for you. And you're like, what is this? Oh, you're screwed. And then it just cackles and flies away.
You're cursed.
We got you.
You dummy. That'll be 7 gold.
Cash on delivery. Oh man, that'd be so rude. I love it. Yeah, that's the basic idea. I like a lot of monsters that are I like the gimmick monsters, and I like monsters that have other relationships. So
yeah, the gimmick is good. In addition to having just like a boss that is evil, you could make a sort of sub, also probably pretty weak imp that just has a crappy scry that it can use just to help track you down. So if you do go with like this imp and a couple orcs, then you can have another enemy is the one who's actually, following you. And bring in more orcs.
Yeah. I think it is all vaguely annoy the party with constantly knowing where they are and dumb stuff on their face. It could even be like just like an insult or some, foul message in like Abyssal just written on their face. And if anybody in the party can read it, like it just says die jerks on your face. Like, I don't know.
I do like the social outcast aspect of that.
Yeah.
People get real suspicious of people with like headbands. With
the mark on it. Oh yeah. People trying to hide it. Yeah. You get marked? You get marked up? Nah, you can't come into this tavern. You can't stay at this inn.
You should give that evil, boss guy also like a stealthy assassin sort of minion so that because it's
follow up on it.
Oh yeah, because it's way better, at least for the townsfolk. Like you can attack the party with orcs, but for the townsfolk, I think it's better for them to say, "Oh, he got that mark, and we found him dead in his bed one night," instead of, "Oh, orcs just burned down the town because he was."
Yeah. No, so it's like everybody who gets that mark dies or something.
Yeah. And maybe it does bring misfortune. Like an entire floor of the inn, everyone was just dead.
Yeah.
And we blame him. Sort of.
It'd be even cool for this to come out of nowhere. Like they haven't even encountered the big bad that's actually controlling the imps. It's just like they get marked up occasionally and like bad stuff starts happening to them. And like we got to avoid these imps and find out why this is happening. And like other people are getting marked in the town and they keep dying or going missing or all kinds of stuff could be going on.
You could make like a table of misfortune that occurs to you that slowly escalates over time.
I love that. Oh, like it's like with 1 day, 1 week, like, and it's different options. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in addition to like super like, easy lame stuff like -1 to all your rolls, disadvantage on ability checks, you add in like other weird things like you keep finding scorpions in your shoes. And
like you misplace your weapon.
Oh yeah, like little stuff like that. Like every time you take a bite of food, it turns out that it's like kind of grody. It's not like rotten. It's just like this is
not as good.
Yeah, until everyone dies.
All right, I think that's enough on the the old branding imp. But yeah, it's just like it's something small. It gets a lot of flavor going. I was pretty happy with that. Still
Yeah.
might do the sky whales, but
That
they're a little bit more involved.
and the people who live on the sky whales, I feel like you could go to town with
Oh yeah,
what they're up to.
yeah. Who knows?
And
right?
maybe they could be cool. Maybe they're just jerks. They're like, you idiots down there in the mud. We have a sky whale.
It's you don't get to the cloud district very often. Literally lives in a cloud.
You want to hear about my monster?
So you're saying this is a Pokemon?
After the fact, yes.
Okay.
So I don't have a name for it, but it would probably be something sort of just taking a bird word like beak and a tree word like bark, and you're like bark beak, boom, done.
Oh yeah,
Something like that.
Stuff like that works.
Well, at least if you're in Warcraft, you can just do that.
Yeah.
For anybody. Like, we're naming a dwarf. What do we name him? Ironbeard. Done. Easy. But
metal shoes.
Metal shoes.
Metal shoes.
But so this was inspired by Magic the Gathering. Green hates everything that flies. It just hates it. So I was thinking,
and I hate it too, as a former green player.
As a former green, and then you just went all in on any tribe that would take you.
Well, they do have the best tribe.
Elves. Yeah. But the idea for this is I wanted a flying creature that would be sort of a random encounter, and I came up with these sort of ant-like birds that are probably, they're like giant eagle in size, and they're made of. Think of like if you made an owl or an eagle out of a wicker material. I kind of envision them looking like that.
Have you ever played the game called Samorost?
No.
So it doesn't really have a lot to do with this, but the style of a lot of the game is so like all of the graphics for the game are actual photos like collaged together.
Well, that's weird.
And there's a lot of creatures in that are made out of pieces of wood kind of laid together.
Huh.
That's what I'm thinking for it. Is like it's like driftwood but assembling into like a bird.
Yes. Yeah, that's about right, with sort of like leafy wings that can spread out.
That's cool.
But I'm definitely sort of like thinking of like different branches sort of creating like a hollow cavity chest that's got maybe some like sort of green heart of a tree in it. But I'm sort of imagining like CR4
forest,
somewhere around
very
there.
Like forest elemental type.
Yes. Which is weird because they make forest elementals of a whole bunch of different type of thing, but you don't really see them as birds often.
It totally makes sense though.
Yeah. So
that could happen.
They're these large birds. The idea I have is that why are they coming from a forest? Maybe Ents made them, maybe Druids made them, maybe they're just a part of the forest, but they hate things that fly overhead. And their job is to fly up there and take you down. I would probably give these things like 60, 50 hit points, vulnerability to fire.
Definitely, yeah. Made of wood.
I don't want them just to be like our friend the Manticore, who just gets up in your face and he's like, "What? Fight me." So I would have these have probably like a kind of weak bite attack, maybe a kind of weak claw attack, and I would give them two interesting things that I think would spice it up. The first of which is a gust attack that doesn't deal damage, but it like knocks you around. So if you're on like a ship or you're on like a dragon's back, it requires a save to stay on.
Kind of like a gust of wind type ability, but instead of a spell, it's just they using their wings.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that I thought would be interesting because it's like knocking you around. Maybe it deals some damage, so that's its attack. It's like getting a 2-for-1 in there. The other one, and I don't know if this is too mean, but I have 3 different things that I think it could be. And I'll start with the most extreme and get easier. So first of all, I want to give it a petrifying gaze.
Ooh. Well, you could flavor it a little bit. It could turn you into wood.
That was the second variant.
Oh, okay.
And my logic for that was that if you get turned into stone and you fall, you are shattered on the ground.
Oh, right. Yeah. When you're flying overhead, that's when they're trying to come after you. Mm-hmm. So like that makes sense. That yeah, it's gonna really destroy you if you get turned to stone.
Yes. If you get turned to a light but tough wood, I could see the party finding your statue on the forest floor and fixing you up.
Yeah.
Seems a little nicer than an instant death. It's like a little quest to save you.
Well, see, I like that a lot too because honestly, the forest that they're guarding could just be made up of like people.
That could work. That could be interesting. That's
Right.
one way you could go.
Right, like they're like once they get you and you're just like a tree now, you start like growing in the forest.
Yeah.
And like that's their forest.
Maybe you grow into one of these things, possibly.
Ooh, like long term. Yeah.
Yeah. The other way you could go is simply you just make up some rule for how you can turn back naturally, like the full moon turns you back to your regular form, so that instead of instead of total party killing, they just wake up in branches, really uncomfortable, like
Just
a
lost
week
in the
later.
woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is maybe, I don't know, it's less dangerous. I don't want these things to necessarily be evil, and sort of turning you into them sort of seems evil. Turning you into a tree doesn't sound that bad.
They're just very protective, right?
Yeah.
It's you don't get in their airspace.
Yeah. So
it's
that
the no-fly zone.
paralysis or petrification is the first one.
Yeah.
Which I think is the coolest, but also the meanest.
Yeah.
The second one would be paralysis, which is nicer, but has the same effect of
Still pretty dangerous.
you're flying on a griffin and it paralyzes your griffin. It's like, oh no.
Now you got it. I'm going down. Made it.
And the final one, I think it was just sleep. It was like, now you're snoozing.
I kind of like that too, though, because it's like they want you out of the sky, so they're just like, get out of the sky. You're asleep.
Goodbye.
You gotta walk out of here.
Wake up.
Nobody's allowed in the sky.
The party, you guys, you're so high up that you wake up still falling, but everyone's so far away, you just see each other. Just like, oh no, this is bad.
So I guess because they're protecting airspace, can they speak? Or are they like intelligent?
I would probably give them like intelligence of 5 and only give them the Sylvan language.
Right. Well, occasionally people pick up Sylvan
or they just talk to plants and talk them down.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't think they'd be too difficult to kill. But I wanted to just make an interesting flying monster that wasn't just gonna shoot spikes at you for a while.
Yeah. I think the problem that I had with this one was I feel like most flying things are gonna be really difficult because if you're encountering it in flight, it probably means you have access to flight, which is either going to be really, really high level magic, or you've got, mounts. And even then, that's like usually decently high level because you need to be able to afford to either buy or rent them.
It's true.
People aren't just going to give you griffins usually unless it's for a story reason. And then I feel like it's kind of contrived to come up with a, lower level flying creature just for that type of story.
Yeah. So maybe it would be smart to raise the DC or the CR, make him up there to like CR 8. Maybe go with the wood plan because
you put him in a place where at some point the party has to fly over it. And it's like, but like people know about it. They're prepared. They tell you in advance, watch out. But I guess I don't know. Maybe a smart party would just walk through the forest. Is there another greater danger in the?
So not necessarily. There could be. You could put in different elemental animals like wolves or boars or stuff just running around on the forest floor. But now I like this as you make them really strong, and you make them a late game enemy. And basically the idea is like, we need to get to Mount Doom. Why don't we take the Eagles? It's because of those things. You don't want to mess with those things.
This is the explanation for in Lord of the Rings why they didn't just fly into Mordor.
Yeah.
This forest. There's a ring of this forest surrounding
around Mordor.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good idea. Because they could still probably fight their way through them, but these things are designed to be nasty to players riding mounts or players on like a ship. I think that if they like befriended a dragon and he was taking them somewhere, it
could
doesn't
be okay.
Yeah, because the dragon, it's just gonna be like, no, I have legendary resistances. I have a breath weapon. Get out of here.
You're weak to fire, and I've killed you all. So
That would actually be interesting because I feel like a lot of times air travel, it's difficult to sort of make a difference between the types.
yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
this definitely gives an air of if you have like a large creature that's going to ferry you instead of having to go at your own or going on a ship or something,
Yeah.
there's a big advantage to that.
Definitely. And that could be present in the and lead them like it's a good way of cutting off a certain area more naturally
Mm-hmm.
than just saying don't go there or like a fence. You can't go that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you would have to put whatever it is inside the forest because otherwise they could fly around it.
Yeah, I mean either that or like I kind of thinking of this type of forest that would produce these creatures would be like a really intensely magical forest, like kind of like heart of the world type, really like Mother Gaia setup forest,
And
where it's like all this crazy energy that even creates these creatures that can protect it.
they're just super belligerent against anything that doesn't belong there.
Yeah, they probably would even try to fight the dragon and just lose.
Oh
because
yeah,
that's what they're there for.
they're like half constructs.
Yeah,
They're basically elemental spirits given form. I actually a long time ago.
I love the visual of it. I think that's the thing. Is
Yeah.
is really like that, crazy wooden bird.
flying around and
fun.
screeching at you.
Yeah, pissed off.
Yeah. I had an idea a long time ago of a tree phoenix kind of bird that like when it dies, like, just throws seeds everywhere or whatever, and then it regrows later on, so it's kind of reborn like a phoenix. And you could sort of do that with this, where like the
Absolutely.
fallen ones, their husks will like grow new ones later.
Yeah.
They the maybe
there
ones
could be like egg-like fruit growing in this
Ooh.
forest, and that like hatches into these creatures.
Like the trees grow from the dead husks of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and only the valorous ones get reborn because they're the ones that died in battle.
Right. Right. Yeah, they're like the most aggressive and protective place. So
You could have one really
they stand
big
up to any
grizzled one.
challenge.
Who's
Oh
just
yeah, like this old rickety one, just like rotting, like
never
half
died.
sunken into the forest. Yeah.
But it'll kick
Oh
your ass.
man, that's cool. That's I think that's a really cool world.
Well, I'm glad you like it. The Pokemon that
Pokemon.
I realized this was in Pokemon Moon, which I only played like 2.5, 3 hours before
Yeah, I
the
didn't play that one.
cutscenes. The cutscenes just
drove me crazy.
they drove me nuts. But I picked it's just like a grass bird. It's just like I was like, oh, I basically made this
that
one.
It has like the little like leaf wings, right?
The baby version has a stupid little bow tie. And then I think
know
it
which
turns
one
into
you're
like a
talking
surfer bro owl.
Yeah, there was some weird stuff in the Alolan, like the Alolan Doug trio with the 3 different haircuts.
Really? I haven't seen that. I'll have to look that
Oh
up later.
man, oh it's bad. One of them is like He-Man
Ooh,
haircut.
that sounds excellent.
The Alolan Diglett is kind of cute because it just has this like alfalfa sprout of blonde hair.
Uh-huh.
It's like a normal Diglett, right? But just with that,
Just the
hair.
one hair.
It's really strange. All right, what do you think for next time?
Well, I don't know. I did flying, so you get the
Oh,
final
so I'm
call.
up.
But if you want, I can spitball some ideas at you.
I kind of wanted to do like an ooze or something. It does something.
Ooze. Yeah.
Because like there's a lot of interesting oozes. That was actually one of the things I liked the most about Mordenkainen's Tomb of Foes was there's a lot of cool oozes in there, and I've used them and they're fun. They're
Yeah, you
really
did.
I used like all of them in like one area. I was like, this is the ooze plains. It's just oozes everywhere. Deal with it. But yeah, no, like that was. I found those very inspiring, and I'd like to come up with something that does something.
I am looking forward to coming up with a cool ooze.
Yeah.
Will it be a frost ooze? No.
No, that's too easy.
What a cool ooze this is.
Yeah.
Get it? All right. All right. Well, sounds good. Thanks for recording, and I will see you next week.
Excellent.